You invest in something, you want to make sure you are up to date about what is happening or all the other possible opportunities that may, you might take advantage of, especially when things are starting to get tight as it is now, since this whole Russia thing started, even before the whole year started in 2022. So we are just starting the last month of Q1 now, March 1st, and there is a lot happening. The market is just going up, going down. Today it's up 1%, 2%, 3%. Tomorrow it's down 4%. So it's really what we call a swing trading, a swing market. Really, if you are somebody swinging stocks, meaning you want to buy as slow as possible and sell high, and then because they're up and down like a bipolar person, then yeah, this is a dream for you. But you have to be really doing this full time or really attached, because in a minute you might be winning, and then the next second you might be losing the exact same gains you just had. Now I'm gonna drive your attention into oil. We have to talk about oil and energy, because this is one of the trendiest, I don't know. Anyway, you get the point. This is one of the sector that has been making a lot of gains so far in 2022. How come the market so far is losing 6, 7, 8%? If you take the S&P 500, but if you take the Nasdaq, it's even worse. But when it comes to energy, they are pretty much the single and only sector green, and green by much. So what is happening? First off, today we had a new high, which hasn't been hit for the last 14 years, because Russia again, decided to continue to attack, Ukraine. As a matter of fact, there's now emergency plan to ease the global oil shortage fears amid the Ukraine-Russia. Because what you need to know is Russia is the top 2 producer of oil. Pretty much every country using energy, it doesn't matter whether it's natural gas, whether it's oil, in Europe, is buying it from Russia. So it's a big player. Now, because everybody is distancing itself, everybody is avoiding, everybody is kind of staying away, I don't want to do business with Russia again, from banks to, companies like British Petroleum or Shell already said, we are exiting the Russian market. The FIFA already said, we want to ban, Russia from participating in the World Cup, or, the Olympics Committee. The World Olympics Committee already said, you know what, maybe you need to be kicked out. So lots of people want to be distanced, want to be away from anything having to do with Russia. Now, this is why oil is jumping a lot. But in reality, things were already kind of set up to be this way. Why? Because when COVID hit, everybody shut down, including oil companies. And because they were hit a lot more than anybody else in the entire economy, because nobody was traveling, nobody was flying, nobody was driving, nobody was doing what they were supposed to do. And oil is really at the center of everything we do on a daily basis. You might not even consider that, but oil is really in everywhere and in everything, not only in travel or in, airplanes and cars, So what they decided to do is, well, because we already lost a ton of money and a ton of investors, we need to be careful on how we approach this thing. So they decided to stop producing oil, because if nobody is using that, what will you care producing? All right, it's a losing business. So they stopped producing oil. Now that economies are started reopening, they still didn't produce a lot. They only did the bare minimum. But that bare minimum actually was pushing the price of oil higher and higher and higher. So now that we are 2 years away from the pandemic and from the lockdowns, well, things are already set up to be what we call a supply crunch. Meaning, because it takes 2 to 3 years to invest in a new production well in the oil industry, for the last 2 years, nobody in China, in Russia, in the US especially, and even in Africa, in Nigeria, those are the top producers. Nobody has been investing money because they want to be careful. They want to make sure that they are disciplined enough in order to attract investors and to start paying dividend to keep those investors. And that's exactly what they're doing now. So as a result, Oil prices were only supposed to go up, 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 and up. Companies like, analysts from Bank of America, from Goldman Sachs, from Morgan Stanley said $100 will really be what we will see. But now with everything happening, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 150 in 6 months and maybe $200 a barrel of oil by the end of this year or starting in 2023. It's just the natural consequences of the law of the demand and the offer. All right. Now, how can you position yourself from it? Because as I mentioned earlier, if you put your money into the oil or the energy sector, right, in 2021, 2022, I mean, in January, well, so far the market is lost, what, 8, 10%. You would have been up at least 3%. So not only you will not lose your money, but you will be making some gains. But on top of that, you also have a bunch of these companies that are now saying we're going to buy back our shares. If nobody wants to invest in our own company because we're going to be sitting on a lot more cash, coming these next 2-3 years, we're going to invest in our own stocks. All right. We're going to invest in our own company because we have the money. The money is coming. And that's why lots of these are paying dividends. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that because, hey, nobody knows exactly how 2022 is going to look like, especially after the Federal Reserve starts increasing interest rates. But in inflationary times like we are, and I believe inflation is going to continue to be as high as we know it, because of the Russia conflict. All right. So based on this, if you want to even protect your portfolio or protect your money from losing its value because of inflation, you want to make sure you invest in what is causing inflation to go up. That's how the smart money and the rich invest, folks. No surprise. All right. Now, before I finish this video, let me just share with you few suggestions and recommendations I gave since November of 2021. All right. This is one of them. Callon Petroleum, small and mid-cap company based here in Houston, Texas. I mean, when I recommended this stock mid-November and even in early October, this was sitting on the 40s and 50s, all right? So 40s and 50s, if you bought there, today it touched $61. The max is 65 and the price target here, it's 95. So you're looking about doubling your money. In the long run, by long run, I mean the next 6 to 9 months, if everything 6 to 12 months, if everything goes according to the plan. But short term, we're looking at a price target of even 75. So still a lot of money to be made. And if you bought when I suggested it for the very first time, when it was still sitting on the 40s, you would have made what, $20, $22, $25 on your money. I mean, I'm just saying. Another one, Devon Energy. Devon Energy, when I recommended this one, it was trading in the 40s, yeah, 38 even, all right, 38, and then boom, it went all the way to 60. New all-time high, right? I mean, new 52 weeks high, not all-time high. That is $21 a share, $21 a share. All right. But on top of that, this company is paying a hefty dividend. They're paying two types of dividend, $1 per share. So if you own 1,000 shares, they're paying you $1,000 every single quarter. But on top of that, they are paying a variable dividend. So you may be looking at maybe, $1,200 to $1,500 if you own 1,000 shares of this. But for somebody like me that bought really when it was sitting at $16 a share, that was what? Last year, I bought it around, $16 a share right here. So can you imagine the amount of money I made so far on this stock alone? Crazy. So reason why, if you really want to make a lot of money besides investing in AMC, well, this is pretty much the way to go. I'm just saying.